I'm going to bring you rankings for the top 12 running backs in the 2026 Dynasty rookie class. While this class doesn't quite match up with the amazing 2025 class, there is top-end production at the top of this class and a lot of very interesting pieces further down the board. It's these classes that you really have to look deep into to find the players that are going to be difference makers at the NFL level and for you in your fantasy leagues. We're going to get started here with the obvious number one running back in this class, and anyone who tells you any different is just wrong. It is Jeremiyah Love. It is clear cut for the NFL. It is even more clear cut when it comes to fantasy. Jeremiyah Love is in a league of his own right now. Now, what makes him really stand out in this class in particular is that he has multi-year production in college, multi-year elite production. Last year, he had over 1,300 total yards and 19 touchdowns. That's just amazing numbers for a player who is a sophomore at the time. Now, Jeremiyah Love has great size at 6 foot, 214. That's perfect for a workhorse running back. And he has shown this year, coming into the season, the only question on his profile was whether he could take on the volume needed to be successful at the NFL level. And for fantasy, absolutely, he has done it in 2025. With Jeremiyah Love, there isn't a single skill that stands out as his calling card. He is just a great, versatile, all-around back. He's great running between the tackles. He has the explosiveness to break off big runs to the outside and in the second level. And his passing down game is very good. He's a great pass catcher. He can make things happen in open space as a pass catcher and has very good hands. So there's really no holes in his profile. He projects to be a workhorse running back at the next level, great all around. And I expect him to be an early first-round selection, very similar to Bijan Robinson or Jahmyr Gibbs a few years ago in that first half of the first round of the NFL draft. Number 2 in my ranking stays fairly in line with consensus, and that is Justice Haynes out of Michigan. Haynes is a transfer from Alabama where he spent his first 2 college seasons. Didn't have a whole lot of volume there, 103 total attempts through his first 2 seasons. But on tape, it was evident that he was a very good running back and just wasn't getting the run yet. This transfer to Michigan has really unlocked him as a workhorse back. He has 100 plus rushing yards in each of his first 6 healthy games. So that's excluding one game that he had where he left partway through with injury. Now, the biggest question on his profile, especially for fantasy purposes, is going to be his pass catching. It's not that he can't do anything as a pass catcher. He has 13 receptions this year, good for 18th among Power 4 running backs in this class. But his yards per route run at 0.5 is not a metric you want out of your running back. On film, it's not as if he can't do anything as a pass catcher. He has some good reps there. It just doesn't seem to be as big of a part of the offense, and he's never going to be a standout pass catcher. Now, that doesn't mean at the NFL level he can't catch passes. He can't bring in 25 receptions a season and provide that additional boost to his profile as a fantasy performer. Now, when we're talking on the ground, though, he is as good as anyone in the class. He is a disciplined runner between the tackles. He likes to stay in his lane assignments. But when things break down, when he gets the chance to bounce it outside, when he gets into that second level, he has all of the explosiveness to take advantage of anything given to him. In 4 out of his 6 healthy games this season, he has a 40-plus yard run. He has absolutely taken advantage of everything on the field. He is breaking off huge runs left, right, and center for this Michigan offense. Depending on how Haynes finishes out the season, I see him as right on the bubble there of a late first round, early second round selection in the NFL draft. I see him as being slightly above last year's early second round running backs in Judkins and Henderson, but probably still behind the Omarion Hampton tier of player, particularly because of his lack of pass catching production so far. My number 3 running back is Jadarian Price, another Notre Dame running back. Now, maybe Price's numbers don't look exceptional to you, but that's because he's running behind the top running back in this class in Jeremiyah Love. If he was a part of probably any other program in college football, he would be not only the lead rusher for the team, but in the top 2 of this class. There's even times where, as a rusher, Price looks even better than Love out there. Even if he wasn't playing behind another running back on his own team, these numbers would look great. He's up there in yards. His efficiency is what's really standing out, though. His yards per attempt at 6.7, that ranks 6th among Power 4 running backs in this class. Top 10 in touchdowns, in yards after contact per attempt. He has been absolutely great as a rusher. Now, like I said, sometimes he may even look better than Love as a rusher, but what really brings his profile down is that he is not a pass catcher. He just hasn't been involved at all in the pass catching game. Only 2 receptions this season. Now, he is skilled enough to be a pass catcher at the NFL level. It's not like he will have no catches, but expect Price to be more of a early down runner, even if he gets a starting job, probably more like a Tyler Algier, a David Montgomery, than some of these more explosive pass catching backs. Well, that does somewhat limit his fantasy ceiling. He is still an incredible running back, and I think he can absolutely win a starting job in the NFL early on, and that's something that is super valuable for fantasy, even if he doesn't have a high production through the receiving game. Now, when you watch the film on Price, he is absolutely incredibly difficult to bring down. He has great contact balance. He has very good size at 210 pounds, 5'11". He's not much different in size from Jeremiyah Love. Now, I say he's hard to bring down, and for some running backs, that's just a balance thing. When they get hit, they don't fall down. They stay up through contact. With Price, he doesn't let defenders get close to him. He has a stiff arm that keeps defenders at a difference. He has great explosiveness laterally to get away from pursuing defenders. And while he's used mostly between the tackles, he's the early down kind of style runner for Notre Dame. He is absolutely explosive when he gets to the outside. He can beat defenders. He is still very fast and explosive. And with that strength in his game, it's an incredible combo to watch. Now, I could see whether that quickness shows up in the combine being the big difference in his draft capital. I can see him going from anywhere from an early day 2 pick, early in round 2. If a bad combine result happens, if he comes out a little slower, maybe his measurements aren't quite as great, then he could be more into the late day 2 pick, a round 3 selection instead. From what I see on film, though, I absolutely think Jadarian Price is worthy of a second round selection in the NFL draft. And no matter the actual spot in the draft that he goes, if he lands on a team where he can compete for a starting role right away, then I'm going to have him as a top 24 running back in redraft, let alone how valuable he's going to be in dynasty leagues. Now, 4th on my list of running backs is Jonah Coleman out of Washington. Now, if there had to be a consensus 3rd overall running back in this class, it's probably Coleman. I have him just down 1 spot here. His production has been very good, and he's probably the only player that compares to Jeremiyah Love in terms of multi-year production. Last year, he had over 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns, 10 total touchdowns. The year before, he had over 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns back when he was with Arizona. So we've seen Coleman produce, and he's got some very good skills. He is a good tackle breaker. He has good contact balance. He has this sort of bowling ball kind of build. He's listed at 5'9", 220. Last year he was playing in the 230s, but now he seems he's slimmed down. Looks a bit faster. But what's really lacking in the profile for me is I don't see the breakaway explosive speed that I do with some other running backs, and something that I value highly when it comes to NFL prospects. Now, I always skew slightly towards the film over stats production when I'm evaluating these prospects, and that's why I have Coleman a little bit lower than other people in the industry do. I think on film, some of the things are lacking that I want to see, and you do see it a bit in the stats. His efficiency isn't quite as good as other top running backs in this class, and that, I think, is just that lack of explosiveness. He doesn't have that next gear that some of these other running backs have, the acceleration that they do to get up to speed. Now, none of that is to say that Coleman is not a good running back. He won't have a successful NFL career. I think he could be very good at the NFL level. I expect him to be a second-round pick, if not maybe an early third-round pick, but definitely a day 2 selection. And a lot of that, too, is going to come down to this newfound, I find, pass-catching ability. Previously, he wasn't looked at as an elite pass catcher as a running back. Not bad, but not elite. And now this year, as you can see, he's 1st in yards per route run on the season with that 1.93 mark. That's an excellent mark, a good sign of pass catching ability. Now, again, the context on film is that I think a lot of that is coming more to do with how this offense is structured than it is that Coleman is demanding these targets. Now, I'll give it to Coleman. He has absolutely taken advantage of the schemed opportunities for him, but there's a lot of big play screens here that he's used in that are very well blocked that I think a lot of running backs in this class, if put in that system, would have equally as great receiving metrics if they had those same kind of opportunities in the pass game. Still, there's not a lot of major holes in Coleman's profile. Very good all around. Has showed these production numbers out of the backfield as a pass catcher that are great indicators for fantasy success, for dynasty success once they get into the NFL. And with high draft capital, Coleman is definitely up in this tier of running backs that should be going early in your rookie drafts. If you're liking this kind of rookie content, we already have our 2026 wide receiver rookie rankings up on YouTube here on our channel, and we're going to follow along with other positions, more mock drafts, and a lot of very interesting content around who these players are, including deeper dives into individuals once that college football season ends. So if you're liking this type of content, go ahead and subscribe, and we're going to keep bringing you rookie content all the way through the offseason. Now, fifth in my rankings is Waymond Jordan out of USC. Jordan's a super cool prospect profile. Went to a junior college for 2 years before transferring to USC just this year. So there's a very real possibility that he stays back if the indicators aren't there, that he's going to be drafted highly. But I think he has a chance to be drafted very highly. This USC offense has been exciting to watch, and Jordan has really been a standout part of it. Now, Jordan is pretty much impossible to bring down with an arm tackle. He's not huge or anything, but he blends a strength and speed combination that makes it very difficult for defenders, would-be tacklers, to bring him down. And he's showing that through his power 4 running back leading 5.15 yards after contact per attempt in this class. Now, something that shows up right away when you watch the film is he is an extremely patient runner, probably the most patient runner I've ever seen. It is the number one thing that stood out to me on film. He takes his time to evaluate what a defense is doing, finding if a hole is going to open up, and then has the explosiveness to just burst through that hole. Now, this strategy doesn't come without its drawbacks. There are times on film where you see him evaluating, and then someone catches him from behind because he hasn't taken that opportunity. But there are others that he waits and until something opens up, and when it does, he takes full advantage of it, blowing by defenders, arm tackles being useless against him, and picking up big chunks at a time. Now, I've talked about other running backs as pass catchers and saying even though the production's not there, you can still see the skills that would make them productive. Jordan struggles as a pass catcher. It's not that he's not good in space. He's very great in space, especially as a rusher. But just some troubles with drops, not knowing where the sideline is on his catches. He just doesn't seem comfortable as a pass catcher yet. It's not saying it can't develop, but that's definitely not part of his game so far. Now, when you look at some of the rushing metrics here, it's really hard to argue that Jordan wouldn't be a top running back in any class, but this is still a first season in a Power 4 conference. There's limitations in his profile as a pass catcher. So there's a very real chance that he is seen as more of a early day 3, maybe late round 3 selection, and that results in him going back to school for another year. If he does declare for the draft, I see Jordan being a very quality part of this running back class. Sixth on my list is Hollywood Smothers from NC State. Watching Smothers on tape is absolutely incredible. He is an electric runner, incredible acceleration. He has very sudden cuts. He has this ability, this shiftiness about him that defenders are almost always left flat-footed when he puts his moves on them. And beyond his ability as a rusher, he just has great hands and a number of moves out in space as a pass catcher. When you look at his production, he's actually ranked second in the class in receptions for running backs. As his efficiency isn't bad as a pass catcher either. That 1.2 yards per route run ranks 11th in the class among the Power 4 running backs. That is a good mark, but he's shown even more last season on 19 receptions. He had a yards per route run of 2.25, an incredible mark. So he looks amazing on film with these standout skills, the speed, acceleration, all you want out of a running back. He has amazing production and efficiency out of the backfield as a pass catcher. What's the catch? It's that he's 195 pounds. He's definitely one of the more undersized backs in this class. Now, 195 pounds is not outrageous. It's not that he can't be a good running back in the NFL. We see lots of running backs now sub 200 that are excelling. But still, it's going to be a hit on his profile. These undersized backs, they're at a higher risk of injury. They don't often take over a workhorse workload in the NFL, which makes them more risky for fantasy purposes. With the right landing spot in the NFL, though, a coach that is willing to use him in creative, explosive ways, I'm going to be way higher than consensus on Smothers when it comes to Dynasty, when it comes to fantasy. Even if he is a day 3 pick, an early day 3 pick, I can see him absolutely taking over a starting role or being a complementary type of back in an offense that is absolutely great for fantasy. 7th on my list is Darius Taylor out of Minnesota. And the numbers that you're going to see here for Taylor are somewhat misleading. He did miss some time early in the season with a hamstring injury, so most of his stats are going to be quite low, especially the counting stats. Now, that doesn't excuse him not having the greatest efficiency, although there is some issue with coming back from a hamstring injury there, maybe a slow return. The big caveat here is that this Minnesota team is awful. This offense cannot run the ball, and it is not Taylor's fault. In the the 2 full games that he missed, the team averaged as a whole 3 yards per carry. They just haven't been successful running the ball outside of Taylor, who has been moderately successful, we'll say. Now, I'm not going to say that Taylor is this exceptional back on tape. He looks good, not great in a lot of areas. He's an overall okay running back. He's had production in the past. In 2024, he was just under 1,000 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns. In 2023, he managed 800 yards on just under 6 yards per carry. So he's shown production at the college level. He's been able to take over a very large workload and been good in that role. So a lot of that sounds like some mediocre stuff to put him this high in my rankings for Dynasty, but what really puts him there is his pass catching ability. This season, he ranks 14th in reception despite missing most of 3 games already in this short season. He ranks 3rd in yards per route run at 1.74. Last year, he was incredible as a pass catcher with 54 catches and 349 yards. At the college level, that is outrageous. And beyond the stats, when it comes to Taylor as a pass catcher, he is the best pass catcher in this class by far. It isn't very close. He is extremely fluid, going from a receiver catching the ball to turning upfield, making a move. He has incredible hands. He really looks like a wide receiver there out of the backfield. Add in that Taylor is 6 foot, 215 pounds, some ideal size for a running back at the NFL level, and I think he's going to have a valuable role in an NFL offense. Now, I don't think he's going to be a workhorse NFL back. I think he'll definitely lose some touches on first and second down wherever he ends up, but he could be an absolutely deadly third down back that also has some upside as a rusher, especially injury contingent upside to fill in that starting spot. Now, we're talking fantasy here. We care about fantasy points scored, and pass catching running backs score a lot of fantasy points, even if they aren't those 100-yard rushers getting 20 plus carries a game. As a second round selection in your rookie drafts, Taylor has the ability to pay off as a solid flex contributor off the bat, and possibly more if he shows enough as a pure running back at the NFL level behind an offensive line that's not quite as bad as Minnesota's. He's definitely a player that I expect to be better for fantasy than for the NFL. On to my 8th ranked running back and a prospect that I'm very interested in, and that is Mike Washington Jr. out of Arkansas. Now, what stands out right away with Washington is that he is 6'2", 228 pounds, an absolutely imposing athlete at the running back position. I think Washington's one of the most overlooked running backs in this class, and that's because he's in his 5th college season. Most of the time, we're really excited about these third-year early declare running backs. That's not the case with Washington. He is a senior at the college level, and with that comes some perceived hits from a prospect profile. Now, Washington bounced around a few smaller programs earlier in his college career and then ended up transferring this year to Arkansas. So it is his first year at Arkansas, so seeing this breakout could be more just a result of him now earning that role, being used more effectively, and that's why we are seeing his huge breakout in his 5th season. Now, I am definitely wary of players that have a late breakout and then just look good on the stat sheet and don't have the same impact on film that they do stats-wise. That is not the case with Washington whatsoever. Watching him on film at 228 pounds to move the way he does is absolutely incredible. Has very quick acceleration and good long speed. And it's something that makes it very difficult for defenses to control him. Now, at that size, you'd probably expect him to be a super strong power runner up the middle. That's not necessarily the case. Sometimes he plays a little smaller when he's running inside. It's something I'd like to see him be more consistent with using his strength, because when he does, he's very effective with it. But it's really his ability to move the way he does at that size that allows him to break off huge runs once he gets to the outside into the second level. You can imagine, you can see a picture of him here. That is not someone that a DB is going to tackle most of the time. Now, as a pass catcher, he's a little tougher to read. He has some production, a little inconsistent there. He's also struggled with drops at some times in his college career. So I wouldn't lean too heavily either way. He can probably take what's given to him, but not a whole lot more. Now, if Washington continues to produce the way he has, I can absolutely see him as a day 2 pick in the NFL draft, a solid 3rd round selection, and for a running back, that is going to fly him up dynasty rankings. 9th on my list is Kaytron Allen out of Penn State, and I know that I'm going to have him quite a bit lower than other people in the industry do. You'll often see Allen in maybe even the top 5 of running backs in this class. I've even seen him as high as 3rd in this class on some people's rankings. Now, when you look at the stats, it's not hard to see why people want to do that. He's been very productive. He's been pretty efficient, a good yards after contact runner. Everything all around as a runner, he's been very good. His receiving game, not a strength of his at all. I wouldn't consider him to be really much of a factor in the receiving game. He hasn't shown a lot at the college level. And what's keeping me down on him is that at 5'11", 220 pounds, he's a strong running back. He's a big, well-built runner. That's about all there is to his game. I just don't see enough fluidity in his movements. I don't think he will test well at the combine. I don't see a lot of speed on tape. I don't see good elusiveness, good cuts to create space. So he relies a lot more on kind of bouncing off smaller defenders and picking up extra yards falling forward that way. Now, it's not to say that can't be an effective strategy at the NFL level. We're seeing what Cam Scadaboo is doing for the Giants. That is not what Kaytron Allen is, though. He isn't that hard-nosed, run-through defenders kind of guy. He's just big enough and able to use his size enough to pick up some extra yards here and there. And it's not a skill that's going to stand out enough, I think, to be a real difference maker at the NFL level. In the NFL, I project him to be more of a Brian Robinson Jr. in a good case. So not someone that you want to spend a super high a rookie draft pick on. But he is someone that if you're getting him later in the 2nd round of your rookie drafts, I'm happy to have, and I think he has a solid floor as a contributor at the NFL level. 10th on my list is Jeremiah Cobb out of Auburn. Cobb is an interesting prospect. Again, as a rusher, very interesting. He's super slippery is the best way I can describe him on film. He stays on his feet well. He has solid acceleration, but he's just really hard to get a hand on with the shifty moves that he has in his arsenal as a runner. He creates a lot of space for himself with these big jump cuts with good lateral quickness. He has a stutter to his run that makes it very hard for defenders to get a read on him and which way he's going. He also runs very hard between the tackles, but it's not necessarily the most effective because he is a little bit undersized. 5'11", 200 pounds, not a great profile to take on a large volume at the NFL level, but also not too small that you have to write him off. Now, there's two main things that are going to hold me back from putting him much higher than this 10th on my list of rankings here. And first of all, that's his pass catching. He just doesn't offer much at all as a pass catcher. This most recent game he played in, he actually showed a little bit more than I've seen, but again, very short dump offs, very standard stuff, almost just an extension of the run game itself. But the other thing is that I just don't see any top-end speed with Cobb. I don't see him as an absolute blazer, and at a 200-pound size, you really want that at the NFL level. You at least want one of the pass-catching or great speed at that size, and I don't see either with Cobb. He relies a lot more on the shiftiness, on these moves that he has to keep defenders uneasy, and maybe that does translate at the NFL level. I could absolutely see it. It's just whether he's going to get the shot to really produce at the NFL level to be all that relevant for fantasy. Now, if an NFL offense does fall in love with Cobb, and it's easy to when you watch his film, if he does go as an early 4th round pick, say, or even sneak into the 3rd round, then Cobb is someone I will be much more excited about. I just right now, it's a very weird profile to get a grasp on how the NFL will look at him. 11th in my rankings is Nick Singleton out of Penn State. Now, if you're just looking at the stats here for Singleton, there is absolutely no way he should be anywhere near this list. Honestly, he's been one of the worst Power 4 starting running backs this season. It's why he lost his job to Kaytron Allen partway through this season. The stats don't really lie. I think this was out of 58 qualified runners, and he ranks in the 50s in most rushing stats, most efficiency metrics. It's just been very bad this season. Now, what's keeping Singleton on this list is that he has previously produced. If he declared for the draft last year, he probably would have been a 3rd round selection, one of the top running backs in that class. He could have even been a 2nd round pick, maybe just after that Judkins-Henderson tier. He was looked at that highly last season. And both 2022 and 2024, he put up over 1,000 rushing yards on over 6 yards per carry and 12 touchdowns in each of those seasons. He has had very good production in the past. It's just that this season has fallen off a cliff. Now, I can't say I'm too surprised that this happened, or at least that it was a possibility for this to happen. Singleton was always a runner that would really do well when given a good situation, but when the play's not there for him, when it doesn't open up for him, he's not creative enough to create for himself. He reminds me a lot of Caleb Johnson last year in the draft, and we're seeing how that's playing out in the NFL, despite some good production in college. Now, the best stat to illustrate this is that last year, Singleton had 18% of his rush attempts were over 10-yard gains. Very explosive, a lot of big plays. This season, it's been under 8% of his rushing attempts have been over 10 yards. And last season especially, he was exceptional as a pass catcher. He was used in a lot of weird ways, running seam routes, deep outbreaking routes, things that you don't normally see from a running back, and made people really excited about him as a prospect. And honestly, he was the consensus number 2 prospect coming into this year after Love. So to see him fall this far is really exceptional. Now, this is really going to come down to how NFL front offices see Singleton. We saw something like this with Ollie Gordon last year, had been very good in the past, had a very bad final season in college, and he was still selected in the NFL draft, but a day 3 selection. I'm thinking the same thing is going to happen with Singleton here, and it's why I have him ranked down at 11th. He will be drafted higher than his production in 2025 indicates, but he definitely has taken a fall from his height last season. Now, before I get into the last prospect, just a reminder, if you like this type of content, go ahead and subscribe because we're going to keep bringing rookie content for you all the way up to your rookie draft season. Now, 12th and last in my rankings here today, I have LJ Martin, the running back out of BYU. Now, Martin has improved each season throughout his college career at BYU, and that's culminating in a very good season this year for Martin. Martin is a big back. He's 6'2", 220 pounds, so has really good size. Now, when I watch him on film, the size shows up on film very well, but nothing else really does. I don't find him to be very fast at all. His cuts are extremely slow. He just looks like a big, slow running back. He's not even that strong of a runner between the tackles. He doesn't drive into contact. Once he gets wrapped up, he has some good drive with his feet to pick up extra yards to maybe move a pile. But he just isn't this explosive runner that can really burst into the defense. And he definitely isn't someone that can avoid defenders in any way that would make it translatable to the NFL. He does have good yards after contact per attempt, and that's because he is a big running back. He's able to shed some tackles early at the line of scrimmage. I just don't see him breaking off enough big plays. I don't see that explosiveness that you need to be successful at the NFL level. And that means even if his draft capital is better than expected, I don't really see the path to him having a great fantasy profile just because there isn't anything. The pass catching isn't really there in his game, only 11 receptions this season, and he doesn't have that big play ability. That's all for the running backs. If you haven't had a chance to yet, go ahead and check out the wide receiver rankings in the 2026 Dynasty class because that wide receiver class is absolutely exceptional and a very deep group, lots of talent. You're going to want to check them out.